A while ago, I saw a video that Haley Pham did where she read 7 romance books in 7 days. Since then, I've seen those videos popping up all over my subscription box on YouTube as well as in my recommended videos, and I feel like every time I see someone film one of these videos, I click on it because they just seem like so much fun. I just really like the idea of doing a deep dive into one specific genre, and so I thought that I would jump on the bandwagon and try it out for myself. So here is me reading 5 romance books in 5 days. I've decided to start off this week with a Kindle read, so I'm starting off with a book called The Air He Breathes, which is the first book in the Element series, which I've just heard a lot about, especially on TikTok. I think it's a 4-book series. This is book number 1. I'm not sure if it's like companion or like how the series works, but we're gonna see what all the hype is about. This is also free on Kindle Unlimited. I am 70% into this book and I genuinely don't know how to feel. Some parts I absolutely love and some parts I'm like, this is simply toxic and I just can't get on board. I love the small town aspect. I love the characters. I love the depth of the story that they have. However, the pacing is weird. The writing is just not as polished as I'm used to. I find that happens a lot with Kindle Unlimited books. Some of the decisions that these characters have made were so frustrating, and if they had not made those decisions, I'd probably love this book 10 times more. There are just things that keep happening that kind of just like take me out of really being absorbed in the story, and I can't help it. That's just how I feel. But I'm still going to finish it because I think it is a good book. It's not bad by any means. Alright guys, it is day 2, and yesterday I finished my first book for this video. I read it on my Kindle. It's called The Air He Breathes. I kind of talked about it a little bit yesterday. This is part of a 4-book series called the Element series, and this is written by Brittainy Cherry. It's on Kindle Unlimited. All the books in the series are on Kindle Unlimited, which is amazing. We love to see it. And this book follows Tristan and Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a widow and Tristan is a widower, so they both lost their partners like about a year ago. And Elizabeth has just come back to the small town where she lived with her late husband because she basically ran away for a year because she just like didn't know how to deal with her grief. And so she's just come back to the town and she's got a new neighbor, and his name is Tristan, and he is basically known by the town as being an absolute grump and really rude and really mean, so no one really likes him. And when they find out that both of them lost their significant others kind of recently, they can kind of bond over that and they kind of form like a friendship over that as well. And Elizabeth is a single mum as well to a little 5-year-old girl, I think she's 5, 4 or 5, called Emma. So we have grumpy sunshine, forced proximity because they're neighbors, single parent trope, small town romance. So it had a lot of things that I really, really enjoy. I love single parent tropes. I love small town romances. I don't care about grumpy sunshine too much, and this was like a level of grumpy sunshine that I personally enjoy, where it's not like so extreme that the grumpy is like an absolute bully and the sunshine is just absolutely obnoxious. It was just like a subtle grumpy sunshine. Like he's definitely grumpy and she's definitely more sunshine, but it's not too intense, so I liked that. And obviously I can't talk about the other books in the series, but the first book definitely had a lot of trigger warnings, so I would recommend checking those out if you think that is something that could affect you. But yeah, I'm really conflicted with this book because I reckon for the first 30% of it, I was absolutely obsessed. I was loving it. And then something happened. I don't actually remember exactly where in the book it happened, but something happened where I was just like, oh, I don't like that. Like that just doesn't sit very well with me. And it was a decision that the 2 main characters made. And it kind of stopped me rooting for the characters as well, because I was just like, you guys are kind of toxic now. And I just can't get past that. I will say, to be fair, the characters kind of realized that the decision they made was probably not good. So they stopped doing what they were doing and they kind of went on with the story and stopped being toxic, I guess. And I feel like it was just so unnecessary because without that part, the story would have still made sense. It didn't really have anything to do with the big conflict of the book or the resolution, so I just didn't understand why it needed to be in there, because for me it just kind of ruined it. But there were also so many parts that I did love about the story. I loved the single parent trope, the small town romance. The characters in this book were so lovely and so much fun, and I could totally see how there could be companion novels to this with other characters that we may have seen in the first book. I don't actually know what the other books are about. I don't know, I just feel really conflicted. So I ended up giving it 3.5 stars because I think it is like a solid book, and I can see some people really, really loving this, and I've heard great reviews from some people, but for me it just wasn't it.
I think. But there's a very big ramble about that first book. Moving on to today's book. Today I'm going to be reading Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. I started it this morning and I'm 133 pages in, which is about a little over a third of the way through the book. And I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would so far. At the start, when I first started reading it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to really like this. I don't know if I'm going to click with it. But as I've read it more, I have been enjoying it more than I thought. I think I quite like Lynn Painter's writing. She's also the author of Better Than the Movies, which I read earlier this year and I absolutely adored. But that was YA and this is adult, so I was really apprehensive as to whether I would enjoy this one as much. And to be fair, I don't think it's going to be as good as Better Than the Movies, and I don't think I'm going to love it as much as I loved Better Than the Movies, especially because I just love a YA romance. I can't help myself. I just love a good YA love story, but this has been fun so far, so I'll keep you updated with how I go with this one.
If there is one thing that Lynn Painter knows, it is rom-coms. Specifically, rom-com movies. If you've read Better Than the Movies, you'd kind of understand, but in this book, she describes the main guy, like the love interest, as looking like Jacob from Crazy Stupid Love, aka Ryan Gosling, and described his personality as like very similar to Jacob's personality in Crazy Stupid Love, and that is one of my favorite movies of all time. And just having that comparison has made this book such a pleasant reading experience. Because the fact that I almost feel like I've got another story with that character is just incredible. So I just thought I'd let you know if you have the same feelings about either Ryan Gosling or Crazy Stupid Love, or both. Anyways, back to reading. I think we're just about to enter into one of my least favorite tropes, and I can't even tell you what the trope is without it being a spoiler. It is not the unplanned pregnancy trope, at least not at this point. I don't think there'll be that in this book, but it's not that. It's one of my other least favorite ones. Okay, so I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. I have made a bit of a mistake with my time management. It is currently 6:15 p.m. and I am 200 pages into this book, so I still have 130 pages, 140 pages, which is not ideal because we have Bible study tonight, so I'm going to be out till like 10 p.m. and then I'm probably not going to come home and want to finish that book. So I might have to take this book into tomorrow and overlap a little bit, but still also read a book tomorrow. So I'll kind of finish 2 on the same day potentially if all goes to plan. But I'm being honest. I would say at this point, I am enjoying it. I do think I prefer Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, but I really like the banter. I do like the characters, especially because Ryan Gosling, Jacob, I feel like the banter between our two main characters in this book is exactly how I would imagine Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone's like banter in Crazy Stupid Love, which I wonder how much of an inspiration that movie was for this character. I don't think the girl is supposed to be like Emma Stone, but like the banter and the quick wit of the characters is really good, but it's not like my favorite book ever, but yeah, it's fun. So I'm about to head off to the gym, but I just realized that the day that this video goes up, the MyProtein Impact Week sale begins, which I wanted to let you guys know about because you are going to be able to save so much money, and MyProtein products are like my favorite thing ever. There are so many that I use on a daily basis, so I wanted to let you guys know about the sale in case you guys wanted to save a bunch of money. And if you guys want a further discount, you can use the code RachelC, but I'll have all of the info linked down below if you guys want to check it out. But really quickly, if you haven't ever tried MyProtein, or if you just want to know what my recommendations are, let me give you guys a quick rundown. First of all, the whey protein. This is literally a household staple for Liam and I at this point. I love the vanilla. Liam loves the white chocolate. They literally have so many flavors, so I'm sure there'll be one that you like. But we have been through 10 of these bags, probably at this point. Like, we love this. Another one, the pre-workout. Blue raspberry is my absolute favorite flavor, not just out of the MyProtein flavors, but of every single pre-workout that I've ever tried. MyProtein blue raspberry is elite. It's very sweet, very strong. I've actually run out, so this is a different flavor that I'm showing you because I don't have it anymore. If you guys are looking for a new pre-workout, I definitely recommend blue raspberry, or the cola one is also really, really good. Well, they're all good, but those are my top 2 faves. The flavor drops. I use these every single day without fail. These are the vanilla ones, but they have chocolate, hazelnut, banana, raspberry, so many different flavors. I add 3 drops to my coffee every morning, which makes it into a vanilla latte with no sugar, which is amazing. But yeah, those are probably my absolute staples, must-haves, favorites from MyProtein. Again, if you guys want to save a bit of extra money, you can use code RachelC. Like I mentioned, everything will be linked down below. They also have a bunch of other stuff that I didn't mention, so definitely check it out, especially this week while you can save so much money.
update on Mr. Wrong Number. I am up to page 264, so I have like 70 pages left. So hopefully I'll finish this pretty quick. Honestly, I think the best part about this book is the banter. Like, it is top-notch banter, in my opinion. I think that if you liked the banter portion of Book Lovers, just like the back and forth quick wit between the two main characters in Book Lovers, you might like this. I hesitate to do that. Like, I get scared kind of saying, if you like this book, you probably like this book. But I can see a potential there. But if you don't like it, forget that I ever mentioned it. Book number 2, complete. Yes, we did run into day 3 a little bit, but we're gonna pretend we didn't. Keep the momentum going for the sake of this video. I literally just finished this, so I feel like I probably shouldn't be sharing my thoughts about it right now. I should probably process it a little bit more, but I'll tell you my thoughts anyway. I definitely didn't like it as much as Better Than the Movies, which is Lynn Painter's other novel, but also in saying that, I think I'm just a YA girl. Like, I love a good YA, especially YA romance, because they're just so like wholesome and sweet and like lovely, and this is an adult rom-com, and although it was really fun, it just doesn't have that same level of like wholesome and sweet. Like, there is just a lot more of a lustful kind of direction, which to be honest is pretty standard in a lot of adult novels, but this book just lacked a level of like emotional depth for me. I think in adult books I really like them to be quite emotional and have a lot of depth, and this one just didn't have that. And to be fair, it is a rom-com, so it's not supposed to be like hard-hitting, super emotional, super like make you want to cry, but that's just like my personal preference. So if you like adult rom-coms, I think you would probably love this. I do really like Lynn Painter's writing. I just find it so easy to read. It flows really nicely to me, and I know I already mentioned this, but I really liked the quick wit. I liked the banter between the two main characters. As for tropes in this book, we have brother's best friend, forced proximity. The guy is like super successful, very put together, kind of grumpy in a way. He's not like super grumpy, but like she thinks he's kind of grumpy and like kind of annoying. And then the girl is basically just like chaotic, messy. Her life is a mess. She's got nothing together. So they're kind of like opposites attract in that way, I guess. But yeah, it was just a fun time. I didn't like absolutely love it. It probably is one I would recommend to friends, because I could see this being a favorite for a lot of people, but I just don't think it's like my kind of book. I'm not sure whether to rate it 3.75 or a 4 stars. I think I'm leaning more toward 3.75. Anyways, moving on to our actual day 3 book. Since today is day 3 and we're technically like halfway through this challenge, I thought I would switch it up today by doing an audiobook, especially since I didn't finish Mr. Wrong Number, like the day 2 book, until day 3. I thought that just to make things a little bit easier on myself, and just so that I don't like get burnt out or like sick of reading, and yeah, just to switch things up, I would listen to an audiobook. So I chose one from my library because they have so many. I love listening to audiobooks. I'm always listening to audiobooks. So I ended up choosing Well Met by Deluca. It has a very cute little cover. The audiobook is 10 hours long. I am currently an hour and 39 minutes in, so I have just over 8 hours left. But I will be listening to it on 2 times speed, because I listen to all my audiobooks on 2 or 2.5 times speed. So it should only take me another 4 hours to finish, which is not bad. But so far my thoughts are, it's kind of like just okay at the moment. There's nothing kind of speaking to me. I'm not super hooked, not super obsessed, but it's fun, it's cute. It's basically about a girl who is looking after her niece because her sister is in the hospital, and obviously someone needs to look after her niece, so she's doing that. But her niece really wanted to be a part of this Renaissance fair. I don't think I've ever said that word in my life. Renaissance. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. Her niece really wanted to be a part of that, but because she's under 18, I think she must be 15 or 16. I can't remember exactly how old the niece is, but because she's under 18, they need like a parent or a guardian to provide some kind of like supervision. So all of the parents and guardians who are also looking after their like kids are also a part of the Renaissance fair. So the aunt, which I don't even remember her name right now, she's obviously just been roped into this against her will. She's not like super unhappy about it, but she's just like, oh, like, okay, I guess I have to do this. But from what I've gathered, there's going to be some sort of romance, obviously, because it is a romance book. And I think it's going to be like a grumpy sunshine kind of vibe, which this is like the 3rd book in a row that I've read with the grumpy sunshine trope. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit sick of it, but it is what it is. But also there's like literally no romance happening right now when I'm listening to this. But I'm gonna go on a big walk for probably like an hour or so and listen to this book and obviously get a little bit of the way through it. And then I've got a drive later today that I'll probably listen to it during. So I'll keep you guys updated, but I'm gonna go for my walk. I just realized I didn't really tell you guys that I got my hair done yesterday. So if I suddenly just like looked a little bit different in this video, it's because I got my hair done. I just drove to come and have lunch with my mum, and I am now 54% of the way through this book. I don't have too many new thoughts, but the only thing I've been thinking about is that, like I said, this book really centers around this Renaissance fair, but the Renaissance fair is over the summer, and the actual fair is happening, I think, like 6 weekends during the summer. So Saturday and Sunday over 6 weeks. But you literally only get to read about the characters' lives during Saturday and Sunday, and then it will automatically skip to the next weekend and you get to see what they do that weekend. And I just feel like there's so much time in between those weekends that you're really missing out on. And I understand that's probably because the characters aren't interacting between those weekends, but it just feels kind of weird reading a story from a character's point of view but only seeing their POV for like 2 days out of the week and then just skipping ahead, because when you're reading from someone's POV, you would assume you get to see the in-between as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just kind of like strange to think that this is all happening over like kind of months, but you only get to see like a couple days, you know? I'm still enjoying it though. I think it's fun. Oh, it also did that one thing that I get really annoyed at in books. It often happens in like enemies to lovers books where the two main characters will get so angry at each other and they'll be yelling at each other and they're all fired up and then they just start kissing. And I simply do not understand why this happens so often in romance books, because I just cannot see it happening in real life. If anyone has actually had this happen to them in real life, can you please let me know, because my brain cannot comprehend. Because if I was yelling at someone and like arguing with them and mad at them and they started kissing me, I would push them away because I would be angry. I would not be wanting to kiss them. So can someone please explain to me if that's actually something that happens in real life? I know it's a book and it's not going to be the most realistic thing in the world, but like, can books stop doing that? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. That's just a personal pet peeve of mine. I'm gonna go have lunch with my mum now. It is 4:43 p.m. and I have 3 updates for you. Starting off with number 1. We are 77% of the way through our audiobook, which is also our day 3 book, which is great. I'll probably finish this in the next hour or so, which is amazing. Second of all, the couple is officially together and I am officially bored. This book was going so well until the couple got together. The tension between the two characters in this book was so good, and now that they're together and I still have like 20 to 30% left, I'm bored. Which I know is toxic of me. Like, why am I upset that the couple is together in a romance book? Like, we all knew it was coming. But for this book specifically, the like tension and like their angst between the two characters before they got together was so much better than them actually being together. They were so much more interesting as people before they got together. I think maybe because it was a bit more dramatic, because you're like, oh my gosh, like they kind of like each other but they don't want to like each other. And now that they have admitted their feelings to each other, it's just kind of like, okay, well, we like each other. Like, now we're just waiting for a third act breakup at this point, I'm assuming. But we'll see, I could be wrong. And third update, I'm currently colouring in. This is what I like to do when I want to listen to an audiobook, but I don't like have to be doing something else at the same time, like cooking, cleaning, walking, driving, whatever it may be. I just feel like I'm recharging when I'm reading or when I'm listening to audiobooks and like doing crafty things. I'll show you some of the other ones I've done. We have this one. We have this one. Ta-da. This one is probably one of my favorite ones because it's like just super simple, but kind of like monochrome. How fun. If you guys don't have a coloring book, definitely recommend, because it is just so fun. Like, if you have the time, it is just an absolute I'm 24 years old and I'm recommending coloring books. But this is the most recent one that I did. Again, this one's just kind of like monochrome, simple, but like so pretty. And oh, that one's fun too. That one's like rainbow. I think I got this from Kmart like 3 years ago. I'm now working on this one, which is one of those ones that I kind of just like come back to all the time and just do a little bit at a time. But this is a reading vlog, not a colouring in vlog. So I'm going to continue doing this until I need to start cooking dinner. But my next update might be when I've finished this book. So I'm cooking dinner behind me here, but I officially just finished Well Met and therefore finished our day 3 book. My overall honest thoughts on this one. It was good. It was definitely unique with the whole like Renaissance fair vibe. Like I actually enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. I thought that part of the book would actually put me off a lot, and I thought I'd find those parts like really boring, but I actually found it quite fun and just added a bit of a different twist to an otherwise pretty standard romance book. In saying that, at no point was I like super hooked. At no point was I like super passionate about making sure the characters ended up together, like rooting for them. It was just like a solid good, you know? I would recommend it if you're looking just for a fun, easy read that's a little bit different from your classic romance book. There is a bit of spice in it, not a whole heap, but a little bit. But overall, I just kind of feel indifferent towards it. I think I'd give it like a 3.25 stars. It was good. Wasn't fantastic, wasn't bad, but I don't know if I'm convinced to read the rest of the companion series. Like it didn't spark that desire in me, you know? That does mean that we need to pick our next book. So coming into our little book area, the plan for this book was 5 romance books in 5 days. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit sick of reading romance just because it seems like they're all kind of the same at the end of the day. And I know they're not all the same, but at this point, that's how I'm feeling. We either read Restore Me, which is the next book in the Shatter Me series, which is technically dystopian fantasy. However, romance is like a large part of that book, so I feel like I can justify that. If I'm being completely honest, I really just want to read some sort of like fantasy book, but I don't know if that really works with the whole like romance book genre. Like I feel like I can do Restore Me, but I don't know if I can just like start a new fantasy series, you know what I mean? But nothing is standing out to me, so I think I'm just gonna have a think and I'll get back to you. I just don't think I can read another classic rom-com romance 3rd act breakup vibe because I'm just simply over it. I do not look my best right now, but it's day 4 and I decided to pick up Restore Me, which is book number 4. I'll put the reading order on the side here if you are reading the novellas, because that's one that I'm following, but you also don't have to read them. But I personally think it's worth it. The novellas are so short that it's kind of like, why wouldn't you want to read them, you know? But it is currently almost 8 a.m. and I am already 170 pages into this book. I don't know what drugs are in this series, what the author has placed in this book, but these books are just so easy for my brain to just consume. I don't know what it is about the writing or like what it is about the story, but I just want to binge them. And I find it so easy to just sit and read hundreds of pages at once, which is not something that I find super easy all the time with other books. But yeah, all of these books, I just want to binge them. So I'm really glad that I decided to pick this up. I think it's also just really nice to read a book that's not fully focused on romance. There is romance in this book, and it is like a decent part of the plot, but it's still a subplot technically. Like there is a more overarching like adventure kind of thing going on. So I'm honestly really glad I picked this up. I just think I needed something that wasn't just a typical rom-com because I've only read 3 in a row, but it just feels like too many. I guess I've read them in 3 days, so it has been like a lot in a short amount of time, but I'm glad I picked this up. This is just so good to me. So I'm going to continue reading this and just having the best time because these are just my favorite books at the moment. I just have so much fun with them. The characters are just so good. So it's 7 p.m. and I just realized I have been so busy today with work and just like a long to-do list that I have not picked up my book since I last spoke to you this morning. It's one of those things where it's like I do have other work that I could be doing tonight, but I need to finish this book today. I'm up to page 217. I only read a little bit more after speaking to you this morning, and the book is like 400 pages, 420. So I think I'm just gonna have a shower, get cozy. I'm already pretty cozy, but yeah, get ready for bed, and we'll see if we can get some more of this done. Hopefully we can finish it tonight, but I don't know. We'll try. 200 pages in like 2 hours. It's probably not gonna happen, is it? Probably not. We'll see. I'm showered, skincare is done, Taylor Swift Red Tour 2013 merch is on, annotating tabs are here, cozy vibes are also here. My bedroom is literally the coziest place in the world. I love it so much. I'm up to page 240. I'm so sorry about the lighting, but right now it's just so sad. Everything is just such a mess. And the thing about reading books that are a part of a series is that they don't always have a happy ending. I'm assuming at the end of the series there will be a happy ending, but not every single one of the books may have a happy ending because it can kind of end on a cliffhanger, or something gone wrong so that the next book can like pick that up and like keep it going. And I'm not saying that this won't have a happy ending, but I just don't know if it will, and that just makes me like, oh, because most of the time if you're reading a standalone, most of the time you know it's going to end in a happy ending, so it's not so anxiety inducing. Right now I'm just kind of sad. Page 300. We're still here in the same spot. Still reading, just got to page 400 and it is 9:40 p.m. I'm actually just not tired at all. So we have husband over there watching the footy. Just two introverts thriving. I did not think I was going to finish this tonight, but I just finished it and it really ended on a cliffhanger. And I really want to like go start the next one right now, but it is 10 p.m. So I probably shouldn't be doing that. But wow, this was so good. Good morning, guys, and welcome to day 5, the final day of this reading challenge. You guys saw that I finished Restore Me last night, which was phenomenal. And I was so tempted to just like start the next book in that series, but I was like, no. I need to read like a proper romance book to finish off this challenge. So I've decided to start a Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. As far as I know, and I don't know much about this, it's a friends to lovers fake dating romance, and it's by Christina, so they often have just like rom-com type of books, usually some spice in there too, so we'll see how I feel about this one. I think I've read about 3 of Christina Lauren's books so far. I think 3, and they've been quite hit and miss to me. I loved Love and Other Words, but the other 2 that I read were just kind of like meh to me, so we'll see how we go. I love Friends to Lovers, so that's looking good, but yeah, we'll see. I started it this morning, but I'm only like 20 pages in, but I actually just drove myself to the beach to have a beach day, so we're gonna have a beach reading day, which is the best kind of reading day. I thought a fun way to end off this video would be to kind of quickly recap the books that I read and then rank them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. So let me do a quick recap of the books that we talked about in this video. The first book that I read was called The Air He Breathes by Brittainy Cherry. This is the first book in the Element series. It's also free on Kindle Unlimited. The whole series is, which is great. This was a small town romance, kind of grumpy sunshine, forced proximity, single parent, so a few of my favorite tropes. But there were just a few things I didn't really like about it. I didn't like the pacing, and there was one thing in the book that really just like stumped me and kind of like didn't sit well with me. So overall I gave it 3.5 stars. The second book that I read was Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. This is my second Lynn Painter book, and unfortunately it didn't quite live up to my hopes, I guess, because the other book that I read by Lynn Painter was better than the movies, which is her YA romance. This is an adult rom-com, and I definitely much preferred the other book that I've read by her. In this story, Olivia has to find a new place to live because something happened to her old apartment, and she goes to live with her brother and her brother's roommate in this really nice apartment, and she basically just has to rebuild her life. She's just broken up with her boyfriend, and because she's moved, she has to find a new job and just, yeah, rebuild her life. I really liked the banter in this book. It was really witty, which is the kind of humor that I really enjoy, but I feel like as the book progressed, it just had a really like lust-driven motive, and I just want more depth than that. Then our day 3 book was Well Met by Deluca. In this book, we have a girl who goes to look after her niece because her sister is in recovery from, I think it was an accident of some kind. I can't remember if it was a car accident or like what it was, but she has to go look after her niece for the summer. And her niece really wants to be a part of this Renaissance fair that their town is running and that they run every summer, but she can't do it unless she has some sort of guardian supervision. So the main character joins this Renaissance fair and has to like be a part of it all, have a character, act it all out, go to all the rehearsals, all that sort of stuff. And the whole Renaissance part of the book really surprised me in like how much I liked it, because I thought I would find it really like weird or boring because it's just not something that really appeals to me, but it was actually really fun. But overall it was just a little bit boring to me. It just felt like, apart from the whole Renaissance fair situation, it was just your very stock standard romance book, and I just wanted something more from it. But it was okay. I gave it 3.25 stars. Then I read Restore Me by, I'm not actually sure how to say her name, Tahereh, Mafi. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it, but I just needed a break from the classic rom-com style that I was reading. I felt like I had just read 3 romances in a row that had very similar aspects. They all had a different plot, but it was just too much of the same. Usually I feel like I switch up my book genres when I'm reading, but reading 3 romances before this in 3 days, I was just kind of sick of the whole, they're not in love, they fall in love, third act breakup, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to pick up the 4th book in the Shatter Me series, and I'm so glad that I did, because Although this is technically dystopian fantasy, it has a very large romance subplot. It's kind of hard to explain what this book is about because obviously it's book 4 in the series and I don't want to explain what this book is particularly about if you haven't read the first one. It's just going to be full of spoilers. But the romance subplot in this series is absolutely phenomenal, and I would argue that this romance subplot is better than any of the other romances that I read that were the main plot in the other books. I'm a little bit biased because the love interest in these books is amazing. I'm literally obsessed with him. This was phenomenal. 4.5 stars. And the last book that I read was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren, and I was really apprehensive about this because I feel like Christina Lauren for me is a bit hit or miss. I did end up enjoying this for the most part. I think I gave it maybe like 3.75 stars. I loved the friends to lovers aspect, and I loved both Hazel and Josh. They were kind of like an opposites attract kind of situation, but I loved the message in this book that you should never be too much for someone and you will always find someone who will accept you for who you are. As cheesy as it is, it was just such a beautiful story to read. It did have a trope in here that I don't like, which kind of ruined it a little bit. And although I really liked the characters, I don't know, the plot fell a little bit flat for me, but it was a fun time and I would recommend it if you just need a fun rom-com with some fun characters. And it's pretty short too. I think it's like just over 300 pages. So I do recommend it, but it's just like not my favorite book ever. So honestly, I did enjoy all of these books and I liked all of them. They were all good, but some were just better than others in my opinion, and I just had a personal preference, I guess you could say. But I honestly do recommend all of them. I think they're all a fun time. In 5th place, I'm going to put Well Met, just because it felt a little bit boring to me. In 4th place, I'm going to put The Air He Breathes, mostly because I just didn't agree with that certain plot point and it kind of put me off a little bit, made me feel a little bit icky about the story. In 3rd place, I'm going to put Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. Like I said, it was super fun, but I liked the characters more than the plot, and I think if I had liked the plot more, it would have been a much higher rating. In 2nd place, we have Mr. Wrong Number. Again, it was just such a fun time. I loved the banter, loved the wit. I just wish it was a little bit more emotional. And in 1st place, I have to put Restore Me, which is funny because it's the only one that's like not a typical romance, like it's technically a dystopian. But if you guys have been watching my videos recently and you've seen my development in reading the Shatter Me series, you already know that I'm just obsessed with those books and I just think they're so good. So I think it would have been hard to beat that with any other book that I read. But this was so much fun. Let me know if you want to see another version of this video, maybe with a different genre, whether it's thrillers or fantasy or something different, because it was just a great time. If you have any romance recommendations for me, please leave them in the comments below. I'm always looking for more recommendations, but I love you guys so much and I will see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.